What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Great Guitar Build-Off 2022 and my submission for this year's competition. In the last video, we got the fretboard ready to be attached to the neck, so that's where we'll start on this one. For this process, the key was really to establish a center line on both the neck and the fretboard. Usually I do a mock clamp up prior to actually gluing the fretboard on, so that just helps to ensure that we have everything exactly where we need it in terms of alignment. And once I have that aligned and clamped, I take a very small brad nail and nail the fretboard to the neck inside 2 of the fret slots. What typically works best here is to do 1 nail on each side of the fretboard, so 1 on the bass side, 1 on the treble side, on opposite ends of the neck. I've seen lots of people do this different ways, but this is the method that has worked best for me. You just need to ensure that the hole made by the nail isn't larger than your fret width. Also, I always prep myself for this, just for having to do this a few different times in different places on the fretboard, just to ensure that it's aligned exactly perfectly. Once there, I remove the fretboard and just ensure that there's a small amount of the nail sticking out of the bottom, just to index to the corresponding holes. From there, I ensure that the truss rod is placed correctly in its slot, and then I cover it with masking tape. I don't think that this is totally necessary, but it does help to prevent glue from getting down into the truss rod slot. You do want a good amount of glue, but not too much. Too much is just as bad as not enough. But once that's spread out, it's just a matter of aligning the nails with their holes to index the 2 pieces together. And then from there, just simply adding clamping pressure all the way down the fretboard as evenly as possible. After letting the glue set up overnight, we can remove the clamps and route the fretboard flush with the side of the neck with a pattern bit. It's super important to stop shy of the end of the fretboard in the upper register of the neck if you want the fretboard to overhang the neck. In this case, we do want that, so I was careful about stopping a little bit shy of the end of the fretboard, and I just ended by chiseling and sanding that last part of the fretboard to the same taper as the rest. Back over on the body, I needed to take some time to repair some of the walnut burl veneer that broke off when we had it in the vacuum bag. So essentially I just tried to find really tiny pieces that would fit into the areas that chipped off, and from there I used just some basic wood glue and some painter's tape to fix those areas. And speaking of visible mistakes, I made a really big one. After getting those small pieces glued and taped, I did decide to move on to the step of hogging out material for the neck pocket. I was pretty tired that night, and I think it was a Friday night after a pretty long work week, and I definitely should have stopped, but essentially I did this. I tried to use the hand drill with a Forstner bit as opposed to the drill press to remove the bulk of the material. The drill kind of jumped on me and actually gashed a part of the walnut veneer outside of where the neck pocket was. I wasn't filming that, and if I would have been, you would have seen me throw the drill across the garage. One of the big lessons and takeaways that I have from guitar building is just that it's inevitable that mistakes will be made. They probably won't be as dumb as this particular one, but they do happen. And ultimately, I feel like I've learned more from fixing my own mistakes than I have from when things go perfectly. So as a result of that, I believe that it is crucial in guitar building and in life in general too, just to never be afraid of making a mistake. So to fix my silly error, what I did was fabricate another piece of Purple Heart, laminated the walnut burl to that piece. And so here you can see the routing setup that I made. Essentially, I wanted to bring the body back to the place it was prior to any drilling. So I set up the melamine here as a jig, just snugly against the rectangular piece. The majority of this piece here was ultimately routed away in the neck pocket during the routing process. And once everything was said and done, there was just a small strip on the outside of the neck pocket where the new piece was added to replace the gashed area. So in essence, what I did was I removed a section of the body in the area of the neck pocket that was the same size as the new replacement piece. And then from there, I went ahead and moved to the step of routing the actual neck pocket itself. So that's what you're seeing here. So you can see right here at the end, when I pull the template off, you can see that there's that extra piece hanging off the front. And so I just cleaned that up with the bandsaw and some sandpaper, and that's where we'll end this one. So I appreciate you guys watching the video. If you enjoyed it, I would ask that you consider liking and subscribing. But until the next one, hope you have a great week.